So hey guys, this week we mostly be talking about a data science case study. So the whole agenda would be to walk you through what exactly a data science case study actually is. How exactly are you supposed to approach the problem? What should be your strategy in a sense? And towards the end of this particular case study, you will basically be able to piece together the puzzles in a sense, because you'll have a certain business problem. You already have like a lot of algorithms in your mind. You'll obviously want to know, okay, how exactly do I use each of these things, and combine all of it into one particular solution. Because towards the end of your coursework, the more emphasis will essentially be on applied ML, right? And this is something which is going to be on the similar lines, right? So obviously there'll be first there will be like few questions of how exactly are we supposed to approach it and everything. So this is essentially what will be the agenda of today's meeting. We'll just first give you a download of what exactly is a case interview, what is basically the categorization of case interviews, how to solve case interviews step by step, and then finally we go into an example. You would have probably come across this in one of the previous case studies in one of the previous weeks, I guess, for guesstimates. So this is pretty much similar on those lines. So and it is somewhat meant to refresh your memory in a sense. The main difference between that and this is the data science case study. So we'll get back to that. But in the meantime, we'll just refresh your memory on how exactly you should proceed towards solving a data science case study. Okay. Now, what exactly is a case interview? Right. Now, case interview is basically a real client problem. Now, it can be a fake one as well. Like it completely depends on the client's free time. If he wants to sit back, relax, and come up with a fictional problem, or use a real problem which he's been facing in his office, and then throw it at you and give you 15 to 30 minutes to solve that particular problem. Now, the problem can be a multifold of issues. Like it can be ranging from finance to marketing to operations to whatever field he is in right now, whatever company that you are basically interviewing for. So the kind of problem can basically be anything under the sun, right? The whole idea is for you to try and slice and dice what kind of factors might actually lead to this particular solution. So the main idea is for us to have abstract thinking. Now, bear in mind, this is a very important term in a sense. So when I say abstract thinking, it basically means that you need to take a third party seat and then understand what is meant by this particular problem, what is expected out of you, and what all factors might be driving this particular issue. So for example, let's say I pick up any one of the problems that you have probably done till now. Now, let's say you've probably done something on loan prediction, like loan default prediction, right? Now, what exactly will be the driving factors in loan default prediction is something which should just flash in front of your eyes that, okay, this is one of the factors. The second factor is X, third factor is Y, fourth factor is Z, and so on and so forth. Now, we'll walk through that. Yeah, I'll just explain you what exactly I mean by all of this. It will probably make sense in the coming few slides, but do keep that in mind, that abstract thinking is something which you will be required to do in case studies. Now, what exactly are the example of problem statements? Now, the first one is basically a guesstimate. As you know, you would have probably done that in the initial few classes. Now, how many laptops will be sold in the next year, right? Now, obviously, these kind of problem statements will require you to think more holistically in a sense. You'll probably have to, try and dissect the entire population into age groups and income groups, because that is literally the first thing that will come to your mind when you think about the purchasing power in terms of laptops, right? So that is essentially what we mean by abstract thinking, and basically the first steps in terms of trying to solve a certain problem. And similarly, you have different other problems like, okay, the revenue of BMW has been declining for the last 2 years. How do you try and solve it? And if Ola wants to expand their operations in Malaysia, how exactly are you going to devise a strategy? Now, in each of these cases, you would basically want to first understand what exactly would be first leading to a decline in the prices, leading to decline in the revenue of BMW. What kind of factors do you think will come to your mind? And third, let's say Ola wants to expand. So you will basically have to wear the shoes of the expansion manager and then understand that, okay, if I were to expand my operations in a certain city, what all things should I look at, right? So the basic idea is that for you to just visualize this particular business problem and then figure out what all the factors would be in terms of uh, trying to solve this particular problem. Any questions till now? Anyone who anyone has any questions till now? Cool. Right now, these are basically the kind of basically the categorization of case studies. The first thing is basically you would be probably required to estimate the size of something, estimate the size of the detergent market in India, estimate the size of bike markets in India. That is one kind of case study. Second is fix something bad. Third is take a strategic decision. And four is improving something. Now, estimating the size of something is something which you have done already. The rest three is something which we'll be taking up in this session right now. You will essentially be looking at a certain problem, trying to fix something which is bad, and also take strategic decisions on how you can improve the processes, right? So point number 2, 3, and 4 is something which will be the focus of this particular case study, right? This is a generic step solving process in which you would want to clarify the problem statement first, break down the sub problems, solve the sub problems, and then consolidate your findings. Right. So this is essentially a generic way of how we end up solving the problem. So bearing all of that in mind, let's just directly go to this particular problem. So now this is essentially the crux of what we are going to be doing today. Now, given that we have sufficient context of what exactly is a case interview and how exactly to solve it, right? Now, the case which we are going to be solving today. The case is tentatively titled C4. For all of those who have probably played Counter-Strike in their college days, they are mostly aware of C4 as something else. But this is essentially the curious case of customer contacts. Now, the idea of this particular case, or like the salient features of this particular case, is that there is an e-commerce company. Company sells close to 1.5 lakh items on a daily basis, right? Approximately 10% of the orders are returned due to defects. And there can be multiple defects. Like you order from Amazon, you order from Snapdeal, Shopclose, Flipkart, anything. It is not that you accept everything that they give you. There are certain times in which you return. You're probably like, okay, I don't like the quality of the product. I don't like the, I really, or probably I don't need the product anymore. Mostly to do with quality issues only, right? Or the size doesn't fit. You probably bought a shirt which was 42 on the website, but it came out to be 36, right? So there are like cases in which you would want to return the orders, right? Now, 10% of the orders are returned due to defects, approximately, on an approximate basis. Now, out of those 10%, there are 10% of the customers who return, who initially when they return the orders, they end up calling the customer care. Now, there's a difference between you logging a return request on the app and you logging a return request and calling the customer care as well. Basically, what it tells you is that you have not only returned the item, you are also pretty pissed off that, okay, my concerns have not been taken into cognizance. The speed at which the complaint is being resolved is not sufficient. So there are like a lot of reasons why a customer would start calling. In business terms, this is essentially called an escalation, right? So the target essentially would be to reduce customer contacts, right? Which basically means reducing customer escalations. Right. Now, this is essentially the business problem that we are going to be looking at. Right. And next few steps will be to try and slice and dice the problems and then figure out what exactly to do. Right. Now, just by a show of hands or by unmuting, just one by one, if you can tell me if anyone has concerns or anyone has, queries regarding this particular problem, anyone who has not been able to understand this problem, please raise your hand or unmute. Okay. Anyone? Hey, Devashish, I see that you are unmuted, but you are not.
Yeah, so just I had a small doubt, like why we call
Yeah.
it as escalation.
Yeah. So the reason why we call it as escalations is because usually you would expect the customer complaints to be solved automatically. Like the whole idea is that you log in a customer complaint on the app, and it is directly transported automatically across different platforms. So I'll tell you how exactly things work in the e-commerce space. So let's say you purchase something, you have an app, right? You have the Amazon app or Snap or Flipkart, whatever it may be, right? You log in a return request. The return request goes to the return logistics partner, who then comes to your place, picks the order up, and then goes, right? And either your refund is created or replacement is created. Okay, you're following me till now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, this is a completely automated process, right? Now, the customer care, the customer care manpower is something which is independently maintained by the e-commerce company. Okay. Now, the whichever e-commerce company is there, they have to maintain a force of, let's say, 1,000 people or 2,000 people to make sure that the customers who are calling, their concerns are taken care of. Ideally speaking, they should not even be calling in the first place, because if everything is automated, the only reason why the customer will call back is because either the product is valuable, or the time which is taking for the replacement or the refund to happen, that is high, or the customer, or it is probably a characteristic of that region itself. Like people usually say, okay, Delhiites are more impatient as compared to, let's say, people from Mumbai, right? That can be one of the reasons, right? Like it can be anything. You know? So that could be the reason why those guys actually end up calling the customer care. Now, calling the customer care leads to the e-commerce company incurring cost. And these days, everything is about cost reduction, right? So if the whole idea is you treat these customer contacts as escalations and then solve it on priority. Now, the whole idea is to reduce these customer contacts. Okay, you would want to know why exactly customers are calling you, and why exactly, what are basically the reasons behind why a customer would essentially call. Okay, now, Devashish, I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hello.
I hope, yeah, who
So,
is this man? Not able to see
Raj.
son. Yeah, hey Raj, tell me.
The initial approach is similar as for the guesstimate. So we have to think of the preliminary questions and
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So the whole idea is that you will basically have to think of what all factors will be there. Okay, so let's just get down to what all kind of solutions will be there in a sense for this particular kind of problem. Okay, now this is a pretty serious problem which all the companies usually face. Now it can be tackled by using primarily two kinds of analytics frameworks. One is prescriptive or descriptive analytics, and one is predictive analytics, right? A prescriptive analytics, in a sense, is us using a variable and analyzing the data according to that particular variable, and then finding if there are any patterns onto that. Okay, for example, like I'm just giving you a very basic example. If the price of a product is greater than 3,000, okay, then then it can be that, okay, in 30% of the cases the customer is actually contacting you. Okay. So these are the kind of analysis which you have done based on like certain slicing and dicing of data. Okay. Probably you would have created a bubble chart or a line chart or let's say a bar graph to see that, okay, if let's say the price of the product is from 0 to 1000, 10% of the customers contact. If it is from 1000 to 3000, 15% of the customers contact. And if it is greater than 3000, 90% of the customers contact, right? So by doing prescriptive analytics, you can get an idea of what kind of rules you can have in place, right? Now, the whole point of prescriptive analytics is not only to have those rules, but to get those variables and then plug it into your predictive engines. Okay, so just keep all of this in mind. Just be very mindful of this. Is that when you do prescriptive analytics, the whole idea is for you to create features or create variables which you can probably use to create rule-based engines or plug it in a machine learning model. Because prescriptive analytics can work if you have, let's say, 10 variables or 20 variables, right? But the moment you have 900 variables, that is when you will probably have to go into dimensionality reductions and so on and so forth, right? So 900 variables and all will come like sometime later, but the whole idea is for us to go step by step and figure out how exactly would you tackle, let's say, 10 variables, 10 or 20 variables in the initial stage, right? So prescriptive analytics is very important for us to get an idea of the business, a flavor of what exactly is going on, and then put that in a machine learning model and then try and see patterns. Okay, so I hope I answered your question, man. Raj. Raj, yeah, cool. Right. So now this will essentially be like a two-way exercise. Now this particular sheet is going to be filled by each and every one of you. Okay. Now, what I want from you guys is what all factors do you think from your end, from your experience as buyers in the e-commerce space, what all factors do you think lead to customer contacts? Why will a customer contact, Amazon or whatever, right? And and just wanted to know your opinions on like what variable would there be and what is your hypothesis behind saying that variable? Okay. So in the interest of time, I will go alphabetically, or if alphabetically scares the guy who is named with A, I can go from the bottom, right? So Yagnik.
Hello.
Hey man.
Yeah.
So so we'll go alphabetically here. One by one, just wanted to know from all of you guys, what all kind of variables do you think will actually lead to customer contacts, and why do you think? Like just one by one variable, and then we'll move on to the next guy. Okay.
Yeah, it can be like delay in shipment or
Okay.
delay in repayment.
Yeah, just give me a second. Okay. So delay in shipment. Okay, cool. Next would be Vanshika. Is Vanshika there? I can't. Vanshika, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. Okay. Okay, we'll just move on randomly then. Karthike. Karthike. Am I audible, you guys?
Yeah. Sridhar.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So, Soumya, given that you have unmuted, now it's your chance. Your chance now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I have returned some order and I haven't
Yeah.
received a refund in the estimated time, whatever I am expected to get it, then that's the case. I'll be calling.
Okay. Expected time to refund. Right.
Yeah.
Now there is like a
Yeah.
breach in terms of this thing. Yeah, perfectly fine. Cool. Isha.
I think if
Yeah.
someone is a premium member and
Okay.
if they have opted for some order with that should be delivered in particular amount of time, and if there is a delay or problem with some order, they would call.
Okay. Okay. Premium members. Okay. Premium members in a sense. Premium members facing problems. Cool. Makes sense. Right. Next, Devashish. Go for it, man.
So let's say wrong items being delivered.
Okay.
I
Wrong
mean,
items
not the
delivered.
size or shape, just the wrong item, not
Okay.
whatever.
Wrong item delivered. Perfect. And okay, wrong item delivered. Okay, what exactly would be the hypothesis behind wrong item delivered? Why exactly do you think that might have a higher chance in terms of a person actually contacting?
Because like maybe if I order something bad and I get something good, I will not call the customer care. But yeah, if I order, let's say, an iPhone and I get somewhat like a copy of iPhone, then that is definitely the case. Like I will order. So it once happened with me. I ordered a sari for mom, and
And
I
you got an iPhone.
no, not an iPhone. I got a T-shirt. So I
Okay.
tried to return it, and the return was
Okay.
somewhat blocked, and my dad is still wearing that T-shirt.
Oh God. Okay. Just give me a second. Yeah.
Hello.
Yep. Go for it,
So
man.
apart from delay in shipment, the time of refund will also matter. Like if I have returned the order and I haven't received the like payment back, then that would
Okay.
be definitely case of calling customer care about
Okay.
repairing it. And one more thing, like when we have commented onto the quality of a product, and
Uh-huh.
sometimes it happens that comment is not live, and there is issue with the website,
Okay.
then
Quality of product.
yeah, then we generally contact to the.
Got it. Cool. Cool. Makes sense. Anything else? Go for it, man. Go for it. 21 people. I only have 5 on the board right now. Come on,
Hello.
guys. Go for it. Go for it.
Hello.
Hey, man. Hey, man. Tell
Yeah.
me.
I think one thing is I have faced a problem that for when I ordered something, it has some different price, but when I comes to that buying it, it says some different price. Basically,
Okay.
I have ordered some a T-shirt. It says that it comes 30% discount, and it show me 300. And after that, while I was purchasing and order it delivery, it will cost more and turned it to 700. And
Okay.
one more thing contacting is the price, the increasing in price. That means if you ordered a 5,000 thing, you will be more we will be more curious that my product is arriving or not.
Yeah.
That's why you
Yeah.
are contacting your.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah. So one question to all of you guys. Raj, I'm sorry for interrupting. Just one question. So our man just said that okay, price of the product is something which is important. Very very logical thing. But do you think like okay, just a blanket rule in terms of price? Do you think that can actually do you think that is a valid use case. Like, okay, what I'm actually getting at is there a difference between a 700 rupee cell phone and a 700 rupee pair of socks?
Yes, sure, definitely there is a difference.
There is, right? So when you look at the price of product, it would be worthwhile to look at it as a cross tab with the category, right? So this is something which is pretty important in a sense. So when we say that, okay, you need to think as a customer, it would be something on those lines itself. So let's say you talk about the price of the product, as I just mentioned, a 600 rupee dabba cell phone. If it goes bad, okay, I don't care. It really doesn't matter, right? But the moment I say, okay, yaar, I bought some jockey socks for 600 rupees and they are faulty. Okay, so these are kind of concerns which will probably, won't let me sleep at night. So the whole idea is you are going to you will try and look at this particular thing as a cross tab with the category of the product, and that will essentially make you more anxious about the product, the refund time, the refund delivery, and so on and so on. Right. Raj, you were saying something, and I'm sorry for cutting you.
Yeah. So the user experience with the delivery boy, or sometimes, or maybe like if the order is not shipped at exact location that delivery boy is asking to come and receive from somewhere, then it could be a.
Okay. Okay. Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Sridhar, can payment be also be an issue? Like sometimes it so happens that you pay something online, but then while they're delivering it home, they also ask for money because it doesn't show payment is done online.
Okay. Okay. That can also be the case. That can be like bad user experience in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah, hi, Sridhar.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Go
Yeah,
for it, man.
so it can be post-delivery work like complaint, right? Like installation and all. There can be issue.
Okay.
So that
Yeah.
can
Installation can be an issue. Yeah. Yep. Makes sense.
and general issue can be like many people's can are not finding the options in the app or website. So they try and tend to call the customer care and solve the issue.
Okay. Okay. Unable to find resolution via app, right? But we need to be very specific about this, man. So let's say the whole idea is that when you are trying to, look at the data that you have, right?
Right.
What kind of variable which you will be looking at when you are seeing this, right? So when I say this particular variable, right, what kind of variable are you going to look at, right?
Right. So
Yeah. So
yeah, so that's
just
why I said
let's
it
be
is a
very
general.
specific about that. Yeah. Yeah.
So mainly customers are looking for the refund option actually. So they don't find the easy refund option, and as the money is important, and the time to refund the money is also important. So I guess that sort of options are, if people are not finding in the app, so they tend to call the customer care.
Yep. Makes sense. Makes sense. So Kartike has just messaged sometime delivery guys do not know about the coupons and ask for the original money instead of the coupon amount, right? Like if there are variables, if there is anything on the data regarding this, then yep, that is a valid variable which you can actually use.
One more question is like, can we get at in data science case study interview? Can we ask for data? Can we ask like, can we ask for the data from customer care? What are the most number of calls that we are getting regarding for the things like so?
Yeah. See, that's the whole idea. See, the whole point with these case studies is for you to not only put in your point of view in these fashions, but also to ask the guys, like the guys which are basically the interviews. Okay, what all data sets additionally do you have? Because when you say Swamijit mentioned about the inability to find a resolution via app, right? So additionally, it would be like it would be a plus point if you can say, okay, is this data available with you guys? That okay, is it tabulated somewhere? That okay, the customer initially went via the app, was unable to get it. Like we tracked the movement via the app and was unable to get the resolution. So the whole onus actually lies with the candidate as well to try and fix that. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
So yeah, so one more point is that do we need to take care of payment option also, right? So while payment doing the payment, so there are many options. Like we cannot make the payment, but my money has been deducted.
Okay. Okay. That
So
makes sense.
just want to focus more on the payment issue because that's
Okay.
the
Yeah. Makes sense. So the whole okay, so now your concern is actually pretty valid, Swamiji. So the whole idea is that, okay, I tried making a payment, money got deducted, but the order didn't eventually get placed, right? And like you wanted to cancel the order in a sense, and like those can probably be the reason. But just bear in mind that this particular case study was specifically for post-delivery cases in which items are being returned and so on and so forth. So like your concern is pretty valid, but for this particular case, it is mostly to do with post delivery. Okay.
okay. Got it.
You got it,
Yeah,
right?
Sridhar. Yeah,
Yeah, Rohan, tell me.
yeah. Can I make a point? Like, if we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
get,
This is your time when you are supposed to make points. Come on.
yeah, if we can assess the level of urgency for the order, like based on the kind of product being ordered, like if we can quantify that thing, like what is the urgency? Like if a customer is ordering something, suppose if I have to order a cake for
Yeah,
someone's birthday,
Sridhar,
so
and the
I'll
warranty can be an issue, right?
Yeah, I didn't get you, sorry.
Yeah, so what I was saying, like if we can quantify this particular thing, like what is the level
Yeah.
of urgency for the order, and
Yeah.
if it is a like I want to order a cake for my friend's birthday, then I want it to get delivered like before 12 a.m., isn't it? So this is
Yep.
the level of urgency. If we can assess that thing, then
Yep. Makes sense. So I guess we have like a lot of points here. If anyone who hasn't spoken till now can probably speak, like the last query which we can probably get. Soumyajit mentioned something about warranty of product. Yep, makes sense, man. That can be put over here. Anyone else who hasn't gotten a chance? Sudhanshu, I guess you have unmuted.
Yes, hello, Sridhar.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah.
So actually, I want to make a point. Actually, the order get cancelled. Order might get cancelled due to some urgency, like delivery boy couldn't reach to your address or something like this. So for this, we may contact customer care.
Okay. No, but so order got cancelled because it couldn't get delivered, is what you're saying. Because it couldn't get fulfilled or something like that. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So again, Sudhanshu, the idea for this particular case study is for post-delivery cases. Like you receive the order and then you are basically not able to, get resolution in that particular case. So your concern is also valid, but that will be in a different leg. Okay.
Okay.
If
Okay.
someone, I don't know that how to put it exactly, but
Uh-huh.
if someone has returned the order and or exchanged it, and they are again getting some product with which they have a complaint with.
Okay, makes sense. So return of the order. Yeah. So it's like the second level of return of the order. Yeah. Like you returned it once, now it is getting returned again because you are still facing issues. Right?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, so one
Go
point
for it.
so I wanted to cover this point. So for recommendation, let's just say that I ordered some product, but it was not the actually product with what I wanted to have, and now
Okay.
based upon that product, all the recommendations that I'm getting is based upon that particular product.
Okay.
I am like, will it be a point like do?
Yeah. Mismatch in product description and the product which you have received. That is a pretty solid reason for us to go for it. But the whole idea about recommendations and everything is something which might be like it's more of I would say like it's collateral damage in a sense. Like it's something which you really can't. Like I don't think you'll probably call a customer care to try and fix your recommended recommendation list, because that will be a different concept altogether when you talk about collaborative filtering and like other algos. You can probably take the initiative and click the kind of products which you want, and then fix your own recommendation, because that is essentially how correlation works. So yeah, I guess that's the first part is actually makes sense, but the second bit is something which you might not get in touch with the guys for, right?
Yeah.
Cool. We pay money, but it shows to the delivery guy that we haven't paid. That is, Vanshika, that is basically the difference in amount. I guess Karthik had also made the same point. The difference in amount with respect to the, paid versus due, right? So you paid some money and the amount which is basically due. So, right. So I guess we have we basically now have an idea of what all kind of variables can be used in a sense. So let's just go to the next slide where, just give me a second. Yeah. Now, this is essentially the kind of variables which we can actually look at. Now, first bit is issue category wise analysis. Now, what exactly is issue category? Now, when you say that, okay, the product is damaged or, wrong item, or has low quality, or there is a mismatch and all those things, those are basically called as issue categories, right? So 4 or 5 of these can actually be mapped onto issue categories in a sense. And the first thing which we can actually do is look at the issue category wise the entire data, and then analyze that, okay, is there a certain issue category where the number of complaints are abnormally high, the percentage of returns is abnormally high, right? And then let's say for example sakes, that if the product is damaged, the chance of a customer calling back is 30%. Like 30% of the cases the customers call back, right? So those are the kind of recommendations which you can actually end up giving. Second, product type wise analysis. So when we say product type would basically mean whether it is an electronic product, accessory, fashion based products, whether in electronics it is a mobile phone, laptop, tab, keyboard, appliances, and so on and so forth. Is there a certain product which has a high contact rate, high return rate, and is there a rule which you can actually implement over there, right? Third kind, the customer demographic wise analysis. Now this is something which I guess you guys didn't look into this, but anyways, this is a start. This is essentially how we are going to pick things up. So anyways, that really doesn't make any difference. The whole idea is for us to incorporate whatever we learn on a day-to-day basis, right? So yeah, when we look at customer demographic analysis, we basically try and see whether or not a certain area is more irritable as compared to the others. Now, as I mentioned, as I gave cues in the beginning as well, that people from Delhi might be more impatient than people from Mumbai, or people from Kolkata are like, very saintly in nature. They don't call at all. They are like very, I would say tolerant about these kind of things. So these are the kind of hypotheses which one can actually have, right? And these are the kind of insights which one can actually generate. If an order is coming from, let's say, Delhi, there is a high chance that we will get a call because they don't like to. Second kind of variable is the purchase history. Now, when you talk about the customer purchase history, you can talk about that, okay, this customer is a person who has, on a repeated basis, returned products in the past, right? Now, this is a very important variable, because when you look at any kind of analysis any kind of analysis which you do, is it better? Because I guess there was some noise from my end. Is it better now? Yeah, cool. So, okay, so when you talk about purchase history, this is like pretty important in terms of any analysis that you do in any field from now on. Okay, so for example, in this case, what exactly are you trying to reduce? You are trying to reduce customer contacts, right? Now you have a customer in front of you. If he has a very high historic contact rate, will that not have an impact on the current order? It will. It should. Right. Similarly, when you are giving loans, when you are doing your loan prediction unit, there is a certain customer who has, defaulted on 40% of the loans in the past. Is there a high chance of that particular customer defaulting on this particular loan? Obviously, because 40% of his historic loans have been, a default, right? A very pertinent example. Okay, I will probably take cricket in a sense, right? Now there are two batsmen. One guy has a strike rate of 20. One guy has a strike rate of 190, right? The next ball is going to be bowled. What is the chance? What is the comparative chances of player A versus player B in terms of hitting a six? You guys tell me. Do you think the guy with the strike rate of 190 has a high chance, or the guy with a strike rate of 20 has a high chance? Any one of you?
So 190.
Exactly. Yeah. So the 190 guy will obviously hit a six, man, because it's like a very high chance that okay, this guy can hit. Similarly here, if a person has a 60% return rate in the past versus a person who has a 10% return rate in the past, who do you think will return? Who do you think might contact more in this particular scenario? Let's say 60% and 10% are contact rates, for example, right? So which customer do you think has higher chances of contacting right now? Anyone? Any one of you?
So I think like the contact will be from the side of 10%, because
Okay.
60% guy is like constantly just returning orders.
Yeah, 60% contact rate, man, not return rate, contact rate. The return
Okay.
rate, your hypothesis is probably valid. But when
Okay,
you say
so
contact rate,
60%.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when you say 60% contact rate, that is something which you could have probably incorporated in one of the variables, right? That is a very important variable because customer history and customer patterns is something which you can actually incorporate and you should incorporate. Okay. When you are, let's say, building your loan models, when you are building your customer propensity models and all, you have to incorporate all of that. Okay. Because history is essentially the only factor which you have. Okay. It's basically a way that you can make decisions. So for example, let's say, okay, let's say Soumyajit wants a loan of 90 lakhs, right? He's like planning to buy a penthouse somewhere and he wants like a loan of 90 lakhs. Now the whole idea is he will go to a bank, right? The bank will look at his CIBIL score and then say, okay, I can't give him a loan because I can't give him a loan of 90 lakhs. I can probably give him 80 lakhs in that case, right? Yeah. So the whole idea is the CIBIL score, because the CIBIL score was, let's say, 810, the bank chose to give him 85 and not 98, right? Now, why exactly his CIBIL score is 810? It is because of his purchase patterns. It is because of his, patterns in the past in terms of loan acquisition, in terms of loan payments, in terms of delinquencies, right? So what they have essentially done is they have taken different patterns of from the past and created one particular score. Now that score can tell you, it will be indicative of what all he has done in the past, and then you can probably say that okay, we can go for an 85 lakh loan or a 90 lakh loan. Okay. Similarly over here, if you have a customer, you look at his purchase pattern, look at his history in terms of return of products, and then take a call, right? That we feel okay, this particular guy might contact us. Okay. Now next, price of the product. Obviously, this is something which you guys got bang on. Courier mode. This was one thing which can probably be included in terms of as a factor, because there might be certain courier partners which are probably not behaving well as compared to the others, as you guys already mentioned. A time of order placement is something which can be looked at, because it might be that okay, one guy probably placed it at the like middle of the night he placed it, and then he is like, okay, now he doesn't want it, right? And he probably didn't look at the salient features in a sense. And then the seller profile. Now, when you are buying products, you are basically buying from a seller, right? What is the seller rating? What is seller return history? What kind of products does the seller go for? Those are kind of informations which can actually help you out. And point number 8 is something which I guess one of you mentioned with regards to assessing the level of urgency in terms of ordering. So time taken to place the order, in a sense, like, okay, did you spend more time on a certain page? Was he very careful about, certain variables? Because these are kind of data sets which are actually measured and actually quantified. So for example, the amount of time which you guys are probably spending on the payment page, these are kind of data points which are being recorded by different e-commerce companies, right? So you should basically go into that level, that okay, is this going to be like, okay, if I spend a lot of time on the payment page, which basically means I'm thinking, let's say 10 times before purchasing this. Now uske baad bhi if you probably give me a faulty product, I am going to be pissed, right? So this can probably be one of the hypotheses in that particular scenario. Cool. Now let's go to the predictive analytics part. Right now, just give me a second. Yeah, cool. Let's go to the predictive analytics part in that case. Right now, what according to you can be one of the possible solutions in this particular case? Right now, this is pretty tricky. Just think about it. Right. What exactly do you think from a predictive modeling point of view can be a solution to solve this? Right. Anyone of you can probably unmute and then probably tell everyone else what do you think of.
Yeah, hi Sridhar.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
maybe it can be done in the base level, like to check the seller rating, and by inducting the seller, good seller into the
Okay.
portal, we can assess the that they will deliver good quality product. So the product
Okay.
related issue can be solved by that way.
Okay. What about the customer contact? Let's say you want to reduce customer contacts, right? Now, all of this was basically to come up with a list of variables, right? Now, all of this will basically, now, let me make this more clear in that case. Okay. So now these are, let's say 9 variables, 9 or let's say 12, 13 variables in a case. Now, for us to create rules for each of these variables will be very convoluted and very, I would say, very tough, right? Because it will be like 15 rules which you have, right? Now, the better way for us to do it is to take all of these features and then plug it into a machine learning model, because machine learning model has the power to, analyze the data across n number of variables and then find out patterns, right? Now, what pattern exactly do you want to find, and what can actually help you out? Now, this is the strategy part. If you remember, like I had spoken about 4 or 5 pointers. First one was, okay, what all can be improved and all. This is basically the strategy part. So go for it, man. Anyone wants to?
I think this would be the case of anomaly detection case, because
Okay.
since the number of customers that are reporting, we will think that that number will be very few, and they have some different features from all the rest of the people.
Okay, anomaly detection can be one of the cases, but focus more on trying to reduce the problem, man. Let's say yeah.
So I just wanted to point out, like, it can be a classification problem if you have
Okay.
data for both, like if the call is placed or not.
Yes.
So
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, Sridhar, it can be a clustering problem also. Means we try to find the different cluster zone where this segment are coming to call more in the customer care.
Yep, makes sense. That will so the model actually be both a classification as well as a clustering problem. So both of you guys are pretty bang on. Now the whole idea for us is you look at all of this data which you guys have actually helped compile, real-time order and all those things, right? And then you try and predict whether or not on a certain customer complaint will there be a call or not, as you guys just mentioned that. Okay, for us to try and figure out that for, like, if we are able to predict beforehand that a customer complaint will have more calls, then we basically try and solve it before the actual call happens. Okay, so that is basically one or two ways in which we can actually solve it. Now, if you look at the B part of the first point, basically says that recall is to be given more importance in this particular case. Now, can anyone tell me the difference between what exactly is precision and what exactly is recall, and how are these two different?
So I think like precision is the total positive you get for that class out of how many you have predicted, and recall is the total actual you get for that class for how many actually are there. So
Okay. So in this particular scenario, when I say recall is to be given more importance, is this true or is this false?
so it's definitely making sense because you see, like, if I predict someone will make a call back or make a call, and if I predict it wrong, like actually it he will call back, and uh, I say he will not call back, so that is something we are missing on.
Correct. Exactly. Now, I have another question for you in that case. Let's say each call which I am making a call to each of the customers in that case, right? Obviously, whatever may be the case, I will basically try and reduce, and I'll try and work on those particular tickets, right? Now, let's say each of the outgoing calls which I make, each of the, probably initiatives that I take, let's say that costs 10 rupees per ticket. Okay. Now, do you think recall should be given more importance?
Uh,
Anyone can pick that up. Anyone.
for our case, recall is very important. Recall
Yeah.
should give an importance because, of course, we can have, if there would be false negatives, right? That can come, that will be a problem for us. But there are false positive, that if we say that we are misclassifying, we will be
Yeah.
receiving 100 calls, but we are not receiving hundreds, we are receiving actually less number of calls. So
Correct.
that will not be a problem. That is good. But if we are having good recall value, we are like exactly making good prediction about recall, then
Yeah.
it we should give importance to recall in this
Okay.
particular case.
But my question is, let's say you are spending money in terms of extra money in terms of clearing out the tickets for which you are actually predicting that there will be a call. Okay. Now I guess you guys are familiar with the confusion matrix, right? You guys
Yeah.
probably know what the confusion matrix is, right?
Sridhar,
Now, yeah, go for it. Go for it.
so AP is also important, right? Means falsely predicted as positive.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
so means we are taking that the call will come, but actually the call will not come, right? So
Yeah.
on the basis of that, we may invest cost into that call center and all.
Yeah. So, yeah, that makes sense. So, quick question to all of you guys, right? Now, let's say you are talking about this kind of confusion matrix, right? Okay. Now, can someone tell me what is precision and what is recall in this particular case? Anyone?
So precision would be true positive upon false positive plus true positives.
Yeah, can you tell me what exactly would be in numbers?
So if the like if we are predicting like this, so actually there is one missing value like
No, I just
Hello.
okay. I'll put like okay 95.
Yeah, here. Hello.
Yeah, tell me now.
Yes, here precision would be 50 divided by 150, 50 upon 50 plus 100.
Okay.
And yeah, recall would be 50 upon 30 plus 50. That's 50 by 80.
Perfect. Exactly. Yeah. So now, given that you okay now okay. So now the whole idea is that uh, in this particular scenario, a certain case in which you have very high false positive rate might lead to some problems, because this is where I gave you gave you a constraint saying that okay, if you are facing rupees 10 per ticket extra to solve it, you are basically spending this much more amount as compared to what you could have done initially, right? So, what exactly do you think? Like, okay, recall might be important, but you have to balance precision as well. So, what exactly is the combination, or like what
F1
exactly is the
score.
F1
fact?
score.
Exactly. Yeah. So, F1 score is something which can help us balance out those concerns, because when you deal with operations, just bear this in mind. Whenever you deal in operations, there will be costs. Okay. Whatever operations may be, there will be costs. Financial operations, marketing operations, this is essentially, back-end operations, e-commerce operations. Wherever you go, there will be costs. Costs to do whatever you are actually doing. There will be additional amounts of money which you will have to spend, right, as a company. Now, whatever model that you create, you basically will have to look at the false positive rate in a sense, because that is pretty important. You cannot tag everything as delay. Okay, so that is like the easiest way out in terms of machine learning modeling, but you really can't do that. Okay,
Yeah,
so it
Sridhar.
can't be that. Yeah, yep.
So, is it not better to evaluate the model with precision and recall both, but not taking F1 score? Because means if I need to give importance more to recall, so
Yeah,
point.
that can be there. Like, see, the whole idea is you can actually do that. Like, the whole point is it's not that okay, you just look at one particular part of the story. So usually people tend to focus more on, let's say, recall or precision, and then they say that okay, recall is high, we'll do it, right? What you mentioned is actually very right. Like, just by taking the harmonic mean, you might not get the perfect balance. Like, it might be that okay, you are probably not at the optimum point by looking at the F1 score, but the whole idea is that you need to look at precision as well, because there will be costs associated to both cases.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Means
You,
means
yeah,
point eight recall and 0.6 precision will give me the same F1 score as 0.8 precision and 0.6 recall.
yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah,
so that's
yeah, exactly. Yeah, makes sense, man. So obviously, like, you will want to give things more important to more importance to recall, but you need to be focus like you need to focus more on precision as well. That was the whole idea behind like talking about costs and talking about false positives and so on and so on, right? So point well taken. Everyone, Somajit has made actually a very valid point that just by looking at the F1 score, you can probably get a bit dilated in the sense that okay, F1 score is high, let's do it, right? But it can be the other way around as well.
Uh,
Point 0.8, point
I
0.6 can be 0.6, 0.8. Yeah,
I wanted to ask that. So F1 score we use when it is kind of the balance between the precision and recall value, right? So if
yeah,
you
yeah.
want to decrease the false positive, you would go with precision, and if you want to decrease false negatives, you would go with recall. But uh, if you are if you are not sure that what exactly, like in this case, you are not sure that you want this to be very low or this to be very low.
Yeah.
So
So yeah. So in that case, see, the whole idea is when you are deploying ML models, you are basically deploying it at a cost, right? Now the whole idea is that this entire exercise, whatever that you have done, will basically be revolving around this particular confusion matrix, right? Now, even if you predict it rightly, there will be a cost which is there. You predict it wrongly, there will be a cost which will be there, right? Now, whichever has the least amount of cost and the maximum metrics in a sense, that is something which you have to go for. Okay, so and that is something which you will have to arrive by doing, basic calculations, like some cost benefit analysis in a sense that, okay, this particular model is giving me X, this model is giving me Y, and so on and so forth, right? Now, let's say you built 4 models. Let's say you built a random forest, logistic, XGBoost, and GBM, right? And the random forest was giving you least damage in terms of the cost. Then you actually go for it, right? Because all of them have similar, recall metrics or F1 scores, and so that is the whole idea, right? So you basically have like a comparative study of what all can be done. Make sense?
Yes.
Any queries? Anything which you guys want to add or subtract in that particular case? Cool. So we'll go to the second bit. The second bit is basically a model which can predict the number of contacts. Okay. Now the first bit was trying to predict the contact at a ticket level. This would essentially be like predicting a contact at an overall level, that you don't even need to look at a customer level view. You basically want to know that, okay, मेरे को आज 1000 call आने वाले, ठीक है? So that it can help me in WFM. Now WFM is workforce management. So I can probably say that, okay, the model is suggesting that, okay, there will be 1000 calls today. Let me have 30. The model is suggesting that tomorrow I will have 700 calls. Okay, I will probably keep 15 people or 10 people, and probably give the other guys some leeway in a sense, right? So in the second kind of problem, you are basically not focusing much on like the customer level issues. You are just basically looking at an overall picture. You are like, okay, I am going to like supply your team with information about how many calls you will probably get tomorrow, right? And that will help you in terms of finalizing what is basically the number of people which you would be needing. Now this is essentially a regression problem which can be used which can probably be implemented by many algorithms. So what all algorithms do you think can probably help us solve this particular thing? Anyone?
So it's not it is a forecasting problem that you're saying, because you are trying to
forecasting regression. So the whole idea is that it might just be a regression problem as well.
Okay.
Right? It can be a forecasting problem as well, regression, whatever. Like I just wanted to know from you guys. I just mentioned regression here. Do you think forecasting can be there? Do you think it's like you can probably use the previous call data to try and forecast?
Right, yeah.
Can it be a time series problem as well? So these are kind of things which you can probably test. So go for it.
Yeah, I guess time series would be one solution.
So in time series, the whole idea is that you are basically deriving information of call data in the last few days and then trying to predict what the calls will be in the next few days. Right. Now there might not be much correlation to that because it is heavily dependent on the number of orders which are being placed, right? Because you basically have like a lot of orders which are being placed. You basically have it across demographics and so on. So you might not be able to like look at univariate in a sense. You might probably want to look at multivariate time series analysis, but if you don't just
we get the similar as time series, right? The trend and seasonality also in the order placement.
Yeah, but here in this case, you actually have the order, like the number of orders which are being placed. So you can actually treat this as like a problem which has more to do with regression. So
okay.
If you feel that, okay, the other way can actually be there, you can probably go for it. But the whole point is you'll probably want to keep it more simple in that particular sense. So regressions in any in any forum are more explainable because you basically have coefficients which come against each of the variables, and you basically want to make AI or machine learning more explainable to the business folks, right? Because towards the at the end of the day, if the business doesn't understand anything, you will be like, chodo, what is the point?
Right.
Like, okay, there is no point in me actually. I would say there is no point in the business to actually imbibe any of them because they don't understand anything, right? But the moment you say that, okay, in this issue category, there is a 50% chance that the guy is going to call, You are like, okay, now this makes sense, right? So that is why when you use PCA in machine learning, like, okay, this is gyan for all of you. Okay, so when you use PCA, you basically end up creating variables which are not interpretable in terms of business, right? So business guy will see, okay, this is one component which you have created, which basically explains 90% of the variation. But what exactly does that mean to me? Okay, you have probably built the best model in the world by doing PCA, but that really doesn't, make much sense for me. So that is where you guys have to be more cognizant about explaining things to the businesses, because ML is a lot about the like explaining things to the stakeholder, because at the end of the day, he is the one who is going to be like, he is the one you are basically going to be reporting to, he or she, right? And if you are not able to explain your bit to him or her, there will essentially be a problem. So to a large extent, try and avoid using PCA in terms of generating variables for explainable models, right? You can use it for, you can probably use it for Kaggle competitions, or you can use it for things where you are probably, building clusters in a sense for internal applications for like your team and your listen. But the moment you probably go to a forum, just be mindful of all of that, and you are good to go. Okay. Anything else? Yeah. Yeah.
I had a doubt that if we are treating it as a regression model, and if you are saying that it is just predicting the number of calls that I will get in a day, and based on that, I can decide the workforce for that particular day. So does that mean that I am ready to bear the cost if it doesn't go like how we predicted?
Yeah. So in this scenario, the second kind of solution, you are basically giving the choice to the I would say the choice to the customer, to the stakeholder, that okay, I am going to help you manage your workforce better. Now, in that scenario, so there will be different evaluation metrics in the second scenario, I guess, right? So it will be more to do with with the R square metric, and it will be more to do with how well the model is fitting in terms of regression terms, and not in terms of the confusion matrix, right? So that will be pretty straightforward, because it will essentially be a regression problem, right? And given that, let's say your R square is high, and like your predictions are pretty decent, your MAP is okay, and all the metrics are pretty decent in a sense, you can probably give more of the decision making to the stakeholder. See, the whole idea is that, okay, this is not an exhaustive list of products. This is just like two projects which you can probably suggest to the stakeholder. But the whole idea is to explain to you guys what is the motivation behind these two, right? At the end of the day, it is a stakeholder who will probably take a decision on this, right? Now, there are pros and cons to both. The pros of the first product is a con for the other, the con of the first product is the pros for the other, and so on and so forth. Like, it keeps on oscillating here and there. But the whole idea is for us to have multiple ML frameworks in mind, which we can pitch to the stakeholder eventually. Okay, if that makes sense.
Yes, but also if we are predicting the number of calls in a day, it won't really solve this problem, right? Because we are trying to reduce it. We are not more concerned with managing the workforce.
Okay, let's say the reason why a certain let's say if I am able to predict that I am going to get 2,000 calls today, like throughout the day, right? Now my workforce, like if I increase the workforce, I can probably finish off the tickets by the first half and reduce the number of calls which probably might come in the second half. Right. So the workforce management will actually be towards that particular, towards that particular framework. So the idea is that, okay, कल मेरे को 2,000 call आने वाले. It basically means that I need to look at the tickets in I need to basically look at like all the tickets in a basic sense, that I need to have more people on that particular day to solve the tickets, right? Now, usme obviously there will be like, okay, I won't probably know that, okay, which ticket has a high probability, which ticket has a low probability. But given that I have more number of people on that particular day, I can probably solve a lot number of tickets on that day. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yes, I get.
Okay. Like the whole idea is that, okay, isme you won't get ticket level insights. First you will get ticket level insights, but it will be more complicated to probably implement in the backend. So there is like a trade-off between ease of implementation and ease of consumption. So yeah, that's it.